My name's Loydeen.
And I'm Heidi.
And we are the
U-Haulers.
U-Haulers. Hello?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. I have new hair. Post-COVID hair.
Yeah.
But now we're back into COVID, so.
Not really, yes.
Now middle of COVID hair.
It was the pause.
But we snuck out in the pause and got our hair did.
Yeah.
So what are we doing today, Heidi?
You're going to tell everybody your coming out story.
Oh, man. It's stressful. It's a stressful story.
Is it?
No. But it stresses me out.
Yeah?
As you know, it's long and we gotta make it short. A lot of pressure. All right.
Okay. Let's just dive right in.
All right. So like you, I grew up very conservative Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even more so than you. Not, well, I mean, you went to like a really conservative Christian school.
Yeah. I didn't go to public school at all.
True.
I'm not sure that you could be more conservative.
True.
I was.
True. What
I
was
graduated
gonna
with
say.
13 people in my high school
Okay, so
class.
never mind, you win. What I was gonna say is that I, in high school, while I was on a date, well, I mean, because we took dates to our banquets and stuff.
Yeah.
At these like big events that we did. Because I came from a really well-known Christian family.
Right.
Like pretty much worldwide, nationwide, and very much around the state of Oregon. So I was just well known in that world, the Christian conservative world. And so everyone knew who I was with and not with and all that. And I had a date with me, and he was very surprised when I got up in front of, I don't know, hundreds of people and said I wasn't going to have sex till marriage.
The True Love Waits movement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did not kiss dating goodbye, though, because I wanted to date. But
I wanted to kiss.
a lot. I called myself the kissing slut. Because I wasn't doing the other stuff, but I sure was doing that. So my sister asked me to promise that I would get their name after, like at least after kissing them, if not before.
Because of how often you were kissing people you didn't know.
I mean, I would just grab them. I mean, that sounds so like Me Too movement. I mean, they were willing partners. But anyway, I wouldn't always, find out all the details.
Well, these weren't women.
They were not women.
Yeah,
They were male.
So the first girl, that's what we want to hear about. We want to hear about the first girl.
First girl. So she came into my life. She was a Carmen twin. So have you seen the L word, Carmen? Which is like, so I had never seen the L word, never heard of the L word, and she walked in and I was floored. I wasn't someone that really thought about women in that way.
Right.
Like I wasn't into like the titties, or I wouldn't even have like looks like, ooh, I shouldn't. Like there was just never, but I was certainly really attached to women all the time. And it would cause lots of problems with our husbands, and not because we were doing anything, but just we'd be really attached and obsessed with each other and spending all our time and fighting and breaking up and making up as if people would always say it's like you're in a relationship. And I would hear that all my life, everywhere I went. It's like you're in a relationship, because my best friends and I would be like, we're dating.
And what was your response to that?
I didn't know what to say. I would be like, well, we're not in a relationship. So, but I knew I was different, but I just didn't understand. I was like, well, that's just how I am.
Mm-hmm.
And, they'd love being best friends with me until, the drama, and then they'd love it again. And, but I just didn't, I didn't know what to make of it. But I remember I had a tragedy in my life, and people wanted me to go to therapy. And I said no.
Why?
Because I thought the counselor was going to accuse me of being gay.
Accuse you?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, if I come in for this grief counseling,
that's what they're going to focus
You're
on.
gay!
So you refused counseling because somewhere in your head you had it that was going to be what happened. Okay.
Yeah, and growing up, like, I pretend that I had, like, make-believe friends when my friends couldn't come over. And, like, they were, like, little I knew they weren't real, but I pretend, like, these little act out these scenes. And so I was a boy named Jake. And then I had a girlfriend named Lacey, and I would beat up guys for her and take her to prom. And I was like, yeah. So, who knew? And then I certainly did it. I should have. And then, there was just a lot of signs. My friendships all growing up, and just how I was, and And then I remember I turned down a role to kiss a girl in acting, like a big film role, and also an audition to play a lesbian for a big TV show. And I remember I just said, oh, morals, I don't want to do that. But inside I remember thinking, it's like Pandora's box, and you shouldn't open that door.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like, don't open that door. Danger, danger. So.
But here we are.
So here we are. So then this girl comes in my life, and I invite her to church.
Obviously.
As I do. And she was actually an owner of a magazine. She was paying me for a Fashion Week runway show I'd walked. And I walked in, and she was like, "You're gorgeous!" And she was just drop dead gorgeous and full of compliments. And then she got locked out of her office. And I was leaving, but then I can't leave the damsel in distress. And so I stayed, and we became friends after that. And so she started coming to church with me. Mm-hmm. And I found out that she had been with women for 10 years and almost married one and lived with one. And I'd never had a friend that was a lesbian, and lots of gay guy friends, but not lesbians. And so I was like fascinated, but I was like, that's wrong. Ooh, well, no. And so I was just very much like, I was practicing abstinence. I had sex at that point, but I was back to, abstinence the whole way and being all a little good girl and just, taking her to church and was sure she would see the light. And so I was up singing in the choir at this really famous church that I go to. And I remember being up there, and I brought her, and she was out there, and I remember looking out at her. And I'm singing like these really famous, all the churches sing these big songs are written by this church. And we're singing this song, and I remember going, oh shit. And I looked at her, and it wasn't very platonic thoughts going through my head as I was up on the church stage.
Wow, in the choir.
I was like, oh fuck. I was like, Jesus, I'm so sorry. So I was like, oh. And it wasn't like I was, thinking about having sex with her, but I definitely was like, yeah.
She was not just a good friend.
No, and she had been hitting on me a lot, but I had been deflecting and pretending that I wasn't noticing, because I'm really good at that. So she would, like, one time she was texting me, where's your phone?
Here.
One time she was texting me, and I was at work, and I told her that, someone had proposed marriage to me. And she wrote back, and she wrote in big caps on everything. She wrote, no! And I remember looking down and being like, well, that was a really dramatic reaction. And so I was like, no. And then she wrote in caps, you're mine. What is that noise?
Yeah, that's the dryer.
Goodness, COVID.
Sorry.
And so it said, you're mine, in caps. And I had never flirted with a girl before. And I was like, and I just stared at it. And then I just knew everyone in the office could see this text from this girl saying, you're mine. And she put all these emojis. And then I just grabbed the phone, and I went and I hid it as far as I could. And I put it in a drawer. And then I moved away from it, and I was typing. And then I'd like, I'd type, and then I'd like bring it over, and I'd be like, and the whole time, yeah. So, and many times that started happening where she would text me, I miss you. I'd say, I miss you too. And she'd say, can I kiss you when I see you? And I would hide it in a cupboard. Because you can't text back if your phone's in a cupboard.
Right, obviously. Yeah.
So I would just, deflect. And then she started staying over, and, girls share beds all the time.
No, obviously. Like, this is a thing of her.
Yeah, which I've been teaching about. She didn't know that girls shared beds as friends. Homeschool. No. Whatever it was. I love homeschoolers. I'm homeschooling now.
You are.
I am currently. So we started becoming really good friends, and I had a lot of angst. And then one time she told me I should take her on a date, and I pretended it was like a friendship date. I'm like, yeah, of course. But I took her out and paid. And then I went on a trip, and it was as if our hearts had ripped out when we left. And she was like, you're not supposed to go, you're not supposed to leave me. And I'm like, I know I'm not. And it was like really dramatic. I was gonna be gone 2 weeks, and it was like, oh my gosh. And we were like dying, and she was like saying she was at my place staying there, and she wished I came back, and don't go. And then I left, and when I was gone, she told me that when I got back we were gonna make out. And I was like, no, we're not. Get the fuck out of here. She's like, we are. And I pretended like that was just absurd. And then I was like, it's kind of like you're like my not girlfriend, I think I said. And we would just like, we'd flirt, and then we'd act like nothing. Or she'd write things and go, she'd say something funny. I'd be like, oh, that's a good line. And she'd go, you're a good line. And just like,
cute.
And
that's
so
cute.
Then I came back, and we were so excited to see each other. I was so nervous.
I bet.
And so we're going to see each other the next day. Have this big like friend date. we go to like a jazz club and stuff. And she was like, we stayed up all night talking. She was so excited to see each other. And she made another comment. And I finally just said, what would you do if I grabbed you and kissed you? And she said, would you grab me and kiss me? And I said, well, I don't know. But what would you do? Because I'm just calling you on your bullshit because you always say this stuff. And she's like, I'd be down. I was like, oh, fuck. Because of course I wasn't going to grab her and kiss her because I was scared shitless. I was so scared. You'd think I'd never kissed in my whole life.
And you were a kissing slut.
Yeah. I was so scared to kiss a girl. So then we saw each other, and she came and jumped in my bed that morning. I was just so scared. And so I acted like nothing, and then we went out. And the plan was play it cool. Because she would like grab my ass all the time and play with my earlobes as she would talk to me. And she'd just be like telling me stories and drawing me and yeah. Talk about her titties and grab. I mean, she was just, it was a lot. And I would just pretend like, well, all friends do this. So normal. And so we were out, and I was just going to play it cool because I liked how the fun flirting and wanted to see where it'd go. And I was hoping one day she would kiss me. And because I had finished the thought in my head for the first time ever with a girl. Usually, like if a girl tries to like hit on me dancing, I'd be like, oh, I play for the other team. And I would stop it. And it was the first time I ever, when she got drunk, got a little touchy one time. I remember thinking she might kiss me. And I finished the thought. And I went, oh. And I was like, oh, it's just this one time. And so then I was on the jazz date, and we'd just been hanging out with some guys, and I was, playing it cool, and she happened to mention that she thought that guy was cute. And I just freaked the fuck out.
You really?
I decided that was it. She was going to go be with him, and I had lost my chance, and if I didn't tell, wow. And I went from playing her really cool, because she'd even like been flirting and saying, I want to go on a date and teasing with me. But I heard that, and I just blurted out, well, of course, I like you. And she was like, yeah. And she was like, what? I think I just, yeah. Wow. So not cool. And then I just like was like, but I made her cry.
Oh,
yeah, it was bad.
Yikes.
I was just like, like this is, isn't real, and it's just, like basically said I wanted a Katy Perry moment, I think.
Oh.
It went really well. It went extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
And so then she was like, forget it, I don't want to kiss you anymore. I was devastated. And then, but she was staying at my house, my apartment. So she came home, she kept asking me, what am I thinking? I'm like, nothing. She's like, yeah, you are. And she's like, we're going to get through this. And she was going off, to see an ex after that. And I was devastated. My world was over. I wrote poetry. I never write poetry, but I wrote poetry. All my angst. And then she went back to men. And I was left just like a puddle and didn't know what to do with myself. And all this regret for not being braver, because there were so many chances.
Yeah.
And then there was many opportunities in between. And I just was too scared. And I would just have regret to my best friend. And then she moved away for a summer to Portugal. And I went back to dating men. And date like 3 guys a night and having fun, and my ex got a hold of me and said, I think I want to marry you, and he proposed, and I'm in love with you. So I had a lot going on. And she started dating a guy, and at the same time we both ended it with the guys from our childhood that had come back or from before. And she flew back, and I was supposed to be leaving on a trip to Italy, and I canceled my trip. She was supposed to be going on a trip. She canceled her trip the exact same time, unbeknownst to the other. She came back and came to my fashion week, and that night she just took my face and just grabbed me and slammed my lips, like her lips right against mine, and just would not move. And to see what I would do, because it had been, all this.
Building that long.
And she just, right in front of people, just held me there. And finally I made out with her. And afterwards she turned to the person next to her and she said, who was watching, she said, I'm sorry, but this was a year in the making. It just had to happen. And I nodded, and she was, we cool? I'm like, we're cool. And then we went back to normal life, and she came and stayed with me again, and I acted like it didn't happen, and we didn't talk about it.
No way.
Yeah. And then she even said, like, wow, last night was really interesting. I was like, oh, really? And then, like, my towel was hanging. I'll never forget this moment. She's in my bathroom, and the door's open, we're talking, we're like best friends, and my towel's hanging there, and she starts sexy biting at my towel. And I was like, and I go, oh, yeah? And she was like, wait, whose towel is this? Because I had a male roommate. And I'm like, it's mine. So she did it again. And everything in me was like, do something about this. And I was so scared. I couldn't. And here, we just made out. She was wanting to stay or wanting me to come with her. She was doing all this. And she was even like putting her arm around me a lot and touching me. And I just was freaking out because she was about to go. Her ex was coming back into town. And I hated it. And I just knew they were going to get back together. And I was so in my head about it. And something told me that was a really bad decision for me because there have been many opportunities for, good 2 years there. And I was like, this is it. And so when she got on that train and she asked me to come, and when I decided not to go, my heart just broke because I knew you have just lost. And it's not that I thought we would be, I was definitely fallen madly in love with her, but it's not that I thought we were going to work out and be together. But I definitely wanted her to be my first because she had really taken me on this journey for a good couple of years or a year and a half at that point. And I just was too scared. And she was used to, turning women and women going after her, men going after her. And if she gives them the sign, then they obviously, she's gorgeous and sweet and funny and smart and witty. And so and really genuine person. And so they jump at it. And I was so scared that I would just keep, putting up the. So then I was like, well, what now? Because I now think it can only be this girl, but then I have all these feelings, and I don't know what to do, and I turned down the proposal, and I was like, crap. And so that's when everyone was like, it's time. I'm like, time for what? And they're like, the L word. And they sat me down in front of Netflix. I had no idea what I was about to watch. And I just sat there, so I was too scared to swipe on women, so I was just watching the L word, living vicariously through the show. And I just marathoned all the way through. That's all I would do on Friday night, just watch the L word.
That's an intense show to marathon.
Oh, I marathoned all 6 seasons. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was just my life. I'd lose a lot of sleep, but I was learning a lot.
I bet.
And then by the end of that, I was definitely like, okay, I want to try women for sure. Of course. And
most people feel that way at the end of the L word.
Yeah. So then I started with Tinder. And I remember I was going to the bathroom when I got my first Tinder text or a girl flirting with me, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was watching, what do I say? I was flirting back, and I was, hiding my phone, and so that's kind of where it all began. And
that's amazing.
And then that person stayed in my life, and she has been one of my favorite people in the world, and kind of always teases like, I started all this. I was like, you did. And, she's been there through it all. Many amazing girlfriends and stories, and I've had amazing time dating on all the apps. I was like the swiper and dating by swiping, and I met amazing people and had a lot of great dating relationships and amazing experiences in New York City and loved every minute of it. And finally realized this isn't a phase, and so I wrote the family and did the big coming out letter. And I have an ordained minister sister, so everyone was
How'd she do?
Everyone did it a lot. Everyone was really freaked. They thought I was going to have like an exorcism happen to try to help me out, and luckily no one sent the exorcist. And and everyone just let me know that they love me. I'm very much, you have to love me. You don't have to agree with me, just love and respect me. And so all my nieces and nephews, which are my close friends, they're like cousins to me, they're all very supportive. But my siblings were all very there for me. And I have older siblings, they're 21 years older than me and down. And so I have huge gaps of age and generations. And so I knew it was going to be a big thing for them. And definitely the only person in my family that's ever come out. But they, love me so much and respect me and are there for me, even if we don't all agree or understand. Right. And it's been, different levels. One of my sisters, she hears all the details of my sex life, and another one actually came to New York and got to meet. I took her out to lunch and dinners with all my exes, and she met them. And then we went to church, and I bring all the girls I date to church. So, and then my brother just called and was like, I love you. I'm like, are you date? Okay. So yeah, it would have been really hard for my parents, but I had a tragedy and they had both died, and so that would have been very difficult for them.
Yeah.
They're hugely from that generation and
very religious.
Well, yeah, and I think they're from the generation that believed you're going to hell, which now people are restudying the Bible and God's raising up people, straight people even, to restudy the scriptures and realize that, Jesus, wants to know these people, and they're not getting to actually even know they can have a relationship with their creator because of how the church is handling it, and he's getting angry. So that's changing. But my parents, are the old school where they would be really scared for their daughter that I was going to hell, and that would have had to be a lot of conversations. But my sister, I found out later, the ordained minister, actually would preach a whole sermon. I mean, she has studied the scriptures. She's very good at that, and she will hold the Bible in her hand and say that it's not a heaven or hell issue, and that it does not affect your relationship with God, and it's not, And I guess she did have a talk with my dad about that before he died, which was great to know. And I actually felt like this was kind of a gift when I was a kid, or actually right after my mom died. I was so devastated and grief-stricken, and at the time I wasn't thinking about girls in that way, but my dad had misunderstood a friend coming to just be there for me late at night because she had heard I was crying. And she was married and there was nothing going on, but he had woken up in the middle of the night and he thought something was. So he thought I was gay and was really very concerned about it, and we stopped talking over it. Mm-hmm. And we ended up mending our relationship. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know when we went on a father-daughter trip and was telling me he loved me. I found out afterwards he still thought I was gay. And so at the time I was mad, that he was, accusing something, especially of my poor friend, that nothing was happening. But then all these years later, I realized, he was telling me he loved me and taking me on a father-daughter trip and hanging out with me. And so it made me realize that he wouldn't have disowned me, which was like a huge gift, kind of beyond the grave.
Right.
So if people ask me, they always want to know, like, are you bi, are you gay, are you lesbian? And so I always say that I'm technically bi, but way on the other far side of women is what, after the whole journey, kind of where it ended up, that, because I'm very into the Webster Dictionary of bi being if you have attraction to both male and female. So I'm attracted to both, but I definitely see myself ending up with a woman, and I always feel way on the other side, far inside of women, but definitely I would say technically bi because of attraction. So that's pretty much the story. And I look back and I'm like, I mean, babe, I had girls shoving their hands down my pants. Like, I'm not even kidding. They would literally shove their hands down my pants and they would grab my titties. And I would be like, they don't like me. Like, come on. Like, I would just like, and I would like them so much, but I'd be so scared to make the move. And in my head, it was because I was saying, well, they have to make the move. But how is that not them making the move?
That is decidedly them making the move.
But I was like, well, they're not making the move. So they probably just want to be friends or probably just whatever.
Wow.
Because I really just needed them to do what my best friend finally did. Like, I needed them just to kiss me. Like, for some reason, the kissing was the thing. If you kiss me, I got it. All right. It's on. But without that, then I was so... And I was such a fearless person that it's shocking.
Right.
But, I mean, I would grab a guy and shove him up against the wall and make out with him, but it just got so...
But you've come a long way.
I've come a long way. I remember my first girlfriend, I remember that she was nervous to kiss me. And we just, were getting to know each other. And I remember my friends were going to kill me if I didn't kiss her. And I thought I was going to throw up. I was like, you have to do this. And I was not facing her, like we're lying on a couch or something, and I was not facing her, and I was like, okay, just taking a deep breath, move quickly, like I was like, and then just go, like I was so scared.
That's so
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And then fast forward to getting to finally date my first straight girls, and then I would like throw them like up against windows in straight clubs. I didn't realize there was a finance dinner on the other side while watching me in a row as I threw her up. And all the cocktail waitresses watching, all were just standing there, So then I definitely got unshy about kissing.
Right.
Yeah. But as they were all like...
Obviously.
But, yeah.
Wow.
So...
It's a journey.
It is a journey.
Yeah.
But, here we are.
Right?
And see? That's my coming out story. And then I'm with you, so I guess it worked out.
I guess it did.
That's the story.
That's it.